So we talk about fractions, multiplication, and division. So the first thing we'll talk about that there are two types of fractions. Now this first type is when you have like 6/7. Alright? This is called a proper fraction. Alright, that doesn't mean it's right or wrong. It's a proper fraction because your numerator is less than the what? So I'm going to write it like this. Numerator less than denominator. We're going to use these symbols. If the little n pointing to something, he's less. If the open end is pointing to something, that means it's larger. So numerator is less than the denominator, or denominator is greater than the numerator. But I like to read from left to right. Now, the other type is like 9/2. This is called an improper fraction. Alright? The improper fraction is when the numerator is greater than the denominator. I don't know why I wrote that one out. Alright? And then we deal with something that this is not a fraction, but it contains a fraction. Like 5 2/3. This is called a mixed number. Alright? Some people say mixed fractions, but we go with mixed numbers. Now, mixed numbers can be changed to improper fractions only. So in a mixed number, you have a whole number and a fraction. So we're going to do mixed to improper fraction. Alright? This is what you do. You multiply the whole number times the denominator. Add the numerator and keep the denominator. Let me show you what I mean by that. If the problem is 5 2/3, you multiply the 5 and the 3, and whatever you get, you add the numerator. Alright? So we say 5, yeah, denominator, D, yep. So 5 times 3 plus 2, and keep the denominator. What's 5 times 3?
15.
Plus 2 more?
17.
17 over what? 3. That's what you need in order to do what we're about to do. To be able to change a mixed number to improper fraction. Let's do another one. Let's do one like, let me see. I got it. That's good. Let's do 4 4/9. Let's do a bigger one. 4 4/9. Only thing you do is 9 times 4 and add the numerator. Therefore, 9 times 4 is 36 plus 4, right? So we'll put it up here. We'll say 4 times 9 plus 4 and keep the denominator. Somebody told me they know it's 36 plus 4, which is 40. You said 41? What you get? Yeah, 40. And then keep the denominator. And you stop. Okay? That's changing a mixed number to an improper fraction. Another thing we need to know is if you have the number 17, how you change 17 to a fraction? 17 over 1. There you go. So anytime you need to change something to a fraction, those are the two things we'll use. Change a mixed number to a fraction and change a whole number to a fraction.
Every time you change the whole number to a fraction, it's going to be over 1, right?
That's it. Yep, that's it. That's it. That's all you need to do what we're going to do today. Alright? Now, to multiply fractions, let's get some rules. Alright? Multiply fractions. Multiply fractions. You've seen this before. Real easy. To multiply fractions, rule 1. You will factor everything. Better stop saying it because I'm going to write that one day. Factor everything. Rule 2. People say cancel is really divide out. I'll say cancel. I'll say cancel. Then I put in parentheses, divide out. You divide out the common factors. Alright? Rule 3 is multiply the leftovers in numerator, and then you're going to multiply, the quote being say the same thing, multiply the leftovers in the denominator. And that's it. You've seen these rules before, bless you. You've seen these rules before. Factor everything. Alright? And rule 2, people say cancel. I say cancel out common. And rule, alright, multiply what's left in the numerator, and then you do the same what's left for the denominator. So remember, I'm showing you the skill because we're going to use it again. That's why I want to see you use this skill. I don't want you stuck and can't move forward. So here we go. The problem we'll do is, let's start off slow. 1/7 or 1/7 times, we're going to use dot for times. 1/7 times 4/6. All right. Now, rule 1 say do what? Factor everything. Now 1, you can't factor. It's not prime or composite, so you leave 1 alone. So we're not going to factor 1. But can we factor 4? What is 4? 2 times 2 is even, so we're good. All right. Can you factor 7? If you look at your timetable chart I gave you, 7 should be circled because it's prime, so we can't factor 7. But we sure can factor 6. 6 is what times what? 2 times 3. All right, real simple. Now, what you do is, I'm gonna bring this over here because I wrote all my stuff. So I'm gonna come over here. 1/7 times 4/6. You draw your long line. See, in multiplication, both numerators together and both denominators together. So put them together. 1 comes over, it's still gonna be 1. We couldn't factor that. But 4 is what times what? So 2.2, that's 4. Now at the bottom we got 7 and 6, right? 7 we couldn't factor, so we bring 7 all down at the bottom. But 6 is what? So dot 2 times 3. Now 1 times 4 is still, isn't that still 1 times 4 at the top here? Isn't that still 1 times 4? You see it? I just gave you change for it. Isn't that 7 times 6, 7 times 6? Isn't that the same? I just gave you change, so don't panic. So we count out the bills. Now, the next rule says cancel or divide out the common stuff. What do we have in common at top and bottom? We have a 2. Remember, you don't do side to side. It's only, you divide out top and bottom. And we divide out 2 numbers, they change to what? 1. All right, here we go. So nothing that's in common. What's the last step? Multiply what's left over. Not everything, but what's left over at the top. 1 times 2 is going to stay what? 2. And then at the multiply everything in the denominator. What's 7 times 3? 21, and you're done. That's multiplying fractions. Have you seen these steps before? That's all we did. That's what we did last week. It doesn't change. Let's do another. Then I'm gonna have you practice. All right. So let's do 3 1/3. 3 1/3 times 1 1/2. All right. Now, before we move forward, beside where it says multiply fractions, I should put an S on that. Multiply fractions. I want you to put beside it must be fractions. When you multiply fractions, both of them got to be fractions. Right now they are not. They got fractions in them, but they're not fractions. What are these numbers called? They're mixed numbers. So we got to change it first. You go to a store and say, we don't take $100 bills. You got to go get some change and come back. We got to change this before we start working on this. Now, how do we change 3 1/3 to a fraction? There you go. You multiply, so I like to put me a little If you can put a little time sign right there. 3 times 3, and then we add 1. Put that on there so you'll know. 3 times 3 is what? Plus 1 more is what? 10. Alright, so 10, you keep the what? Keep the bottom number, keep the 3. So 3 and 1/3 is now 10/3. Same amount, we just had to get it to the right form. Same thing with 1 and 1/2. What do we multiply? 2 times 1, put a little times if you want to right there, and then put a plus here. 2 times 1 is still what? But we add 1 more to it, we get what? So that's 3/2, and we are multiplying. Now we can do something. We have 2 fractions now, we can do something. Alright, so now we look at the rules. It says do what? Factor everything. Now, 10 is not circled on your chart. Now, Ms. Woods, if you want to know what I'm saying, I'm gonna make sure you get it. If you do, I'm gonna get on your timetable chart. Circle this. Circle 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13. Then I put 17, 19. We can put 23 up there too. These are prime. If your numbers are these numbers, you can't break them down. So just, be thankful. So 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, 17, 19, and 23. And if you don't already have that, get that on yours. Alright. I see some of y'all on your cell phone. Just make sure you keep it up. Y'all grown. Make sure you keep it up. Alright. So now, we're going to factor. Ms. Woods, did I take it off too fast? You got it? Okay. Now, so let's factor everything. What's the only number on this paper we need to factor? 10. Everything else should be circled. So we take the 10. I'm going to come to the side. Come away from your problem. Come to the side. 10. Alright. 10 ends in 0. We can use 5. It's even. We can use 2. Which one y'all want to use? 5. Alright. So 5. And then to get the missing leg, 10 divided by 5 is what? 2. Now you can't factor 5 and 2. They prime. So everybody else is prime too. So you draw an equal sign and a long line. 10 is 5 times 2. But 3 is prime, so we just keep that there. 3 is prime, so we keep that there, and that 2 is prime. Alright, so now we spelled it out. Now it's time to divide out what we have in common. What do you see in common at both the top and the bottom? Alright, so this 2 will divide out this 2, that means they change to 1, and what? This 3 divided out this 3, which changed to 1. And the last rule say do what? Multiply the leftovers in the numerator. What's 1 times 5? 5. And 1 times 1 is what? Now be careful with this. So 5 over 1 is just going to be regular over what? 5. Now if you tell me 5 over 1 to test, I'll mark it right. But understand that if you got 5 one time, or how many times, if you got $5 in one person, that person going to get all of the dollars. So 5 divided by 1 is 5. Alright, so now I want you to practice.